Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sacramento Housing Alliance's virtual tour. My name is Kendra Lewis, and I am the Executive Director of the Sacramento Housing Alliance. Our mission is to advocate for safe, stable, accessible, and affordable homes in the Sacramento region. Today, we are touring 1801 West Capitol Avenue and Mercy North Auburn, both sites built by Mercy Housing, and we'll get a sneak peek of Lavender Courtyard, a development by Mutual Housing California. Beginning in 2008, SHA hosted an annual bus tour. The goal of that bus tour was to dispel the myths and misinformation about what affordable housing is, who needs it, and where it should be. Because of the pandemic, we've had to suspend the bus tour and go virtual for our second year in a row. This tour will highlight and give further evidence to how affordable homes are the foundation of a healthy, equitable, and sustainable community. The tour highlights the role of affordable housing to end homelessness and the value it adds to our communities. Today, you will tour the sites, hear from our tour guides, and learn how you can support our work and the work of affordable housing builders in our region and our state. We are so thankful for everyone who worked hard to make these tours happen. Today would not be possible without the hardworking creative team of KJ Productions, who brings our tours to life. We thank our sponsors, and we cannot do this work. It doesn't even matter if we don't have affordable housing developers, community leaders, elected officials, service providers, activists, and neighbors, and our SHA Board of Directors. Together, we all work hard toward real housing solutions for the greater Sacramento region. Just some housekeeping. If you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the chat, and if time permits, we'll be sure to get them answered. Now we're getting ready for our tour. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us, and without further ado, let's tour West Capitol Avenue.
I moved in November 2021. The experiences that you get to wake up in the morning and live a whole day by yourself is a lot of responsibility, and I love it. I'm ready to take on whatever challenge life brings next.
Seeing people come from chronic homelessness and not having a stable place to live, I can see a lot of them becoming just happy overall. They feel like they finally have a home, and that is the best part of all.
We hope that you enjoyed that snapshot of a tour and would like to introduce you to Jennifer Fleming, Project Director, who will give some insight on how this project came to be. And again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Welcome, Jennifer. Jen.
Hey, good morning. Thanks so much, Kendra. So as the project developer for 1801 West Capitol Avenue, and this really was a work with many partners in the plans for a long time. We worked with the city of West Sacramento, the county, Yolo County Housing as well for vouchers, and really put all of these pieces together to bring forward 85 units of permanent supportive housing on land that was in part owned by the city and in part was a blighted, dilapidated, substandard housing strip that had been an old motel that at one time was converted. And then we were able to purchase that, provide relocation to the residents. Some of those residents have actually moved into our building and take it forward. It was funded through 9% tax credits, as well as No Place Like Home funding through HCD and an infrastructure infill grant from HCD as well as funding directly from the city through their CDBG funds and private loans filtered through the city, but from healthcare partners, which was a unique opportunity to really see that healthcare and housing partnership in action in the local area. We have Partnership Health, we have Sutter and Dignity are all funders on this development in different ways. All of our residents receive case management on site, and that's provided both by telecare and with a partnership with Communicare as well.
Wow. So for this particular project, how long did it take overall from start to finish? Do you roughly know that in your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's so start date is always an interesting concept, right? Of when we start to put these things together. I would say from our first successful financing package to the end of construction, we're typically looking at about 3 to 3.5 years. However, working with the city, having conversations with them, understanding the needs, I took tours with the West Sacramento Police Department and some of our other permanent supportive housing over on Stockton Boulevard for Boulevard Court to help them understand the concept of permanent supportive housing versus transitional housing. And so much of what we do is not just putting together the financing and putting together the development and moving it through construction, but it's also bringing folks along and helping them understand what it means to have affordable permanent supportive housing, how we intersect with homelessness services and city services and county services, and how we can all come together to support our common goals.
Wow, I mean that's a lot, and I think sometimes there's impatience with the community, but at the same time, it seems like that it moved fast enough to really for real impact in this housing crisis. Is this your first site in West Sac?
This is Mercy's first site in in the city of West Sacramento. Yeah, we do have other developments in Yolo County.
Okay, but this is the first in West Sac. So this is really a highlight for us being neighbors in Sacramento and West Sac, and just extending with the need for more affordable housing in our region. That's awesome. If you do know this, how did you bring in the healthcare partners? Was this something that they were a part of from the beginning, or did they come in the middle or at the end? You don't have to get too deep, but just.
Yeah, absolutely. So together with the city of West Sacramento, we approached the healthcare partners partnership, and then Sutter as well, specifically for construction and development financing. They're seeing the impacts of homelessness in their ERs, right, daily, and we're looking to find an opportunity to be part of a more sustainable solution.
What's an ER?
The emergency department, emergency room, right?
Okay.
For all of their hospitals, and just realizing that that's meant for acute care, and that they didn't have the resources in the community to be able to permanently house folks. And so they were interested in being part of that solution and offsetting the need in the community.
And is this site full? Because you just had a grand opening for this one?
We completed construction in the winter,
okay,
so the end of last year, and we're fully leased up. By December, I think it was 24th, we had our last resident move in.
Oh, okay.
Full. We worked with our incredible partners on our management side, and a little visitor.
Got to get in the shot.
And we're able to, from certificate of occupancy to 100% occupancy with all qualified residents, move that through very quickly within really less than 60 days.
Wow. And for the residents, do you have to be a West Sac resident to live there?
Yeah, there were certain units that had a geographical preference.
Okay.
That was part of that. And really the sources for referrals into the property were through the coordinated entry system that is managed by the Yolo County, and their community queue is populated by folks referring people in for services. So that could be different community centers or West Sac PD. Across the
board. Okay. And so is West Sac ready for another project like this? Do you know? We hope.
Yeah, West Sacramento has been working on, they had, I think it's the two HCD programs, Room Key, and they were interested, I believe, in a home key opportunity. It does take a certain, I don't want to say divine intervention, but it is a body of work to put together the land and the different financing, and then the ongoing support for the operations of the development. And so, they're not shying away from it.
That's good. That's good. And I know because of where we are with just the high costs of everything, labor, supplies, for this project, for all of the projects, for the financing, in the process, is there worry, or really once it's packaged, that's just kind of it, and you got to stay within budget? Because a lot of people just don't understand how these things work. Yeah,
absolutely. We are in interesting times, right? We're at the end of a pandemic. We're seeing inflation and sort of materials costs increase rapidly. We're seeing interest rates rise rapidly, which impacts your construction loan. As we put together the financing, we build in as appropriate as possible contingencies to mitigate against what we understand what the market forces might be, right? There are times when you get in the ground, or you get into a building, or you start doing a demolition, and you find out new information, and so you have to adjust. And sometimes that means going back out for additional funding and looking for additional sources to bring that in, or it could look like finding opportunities to defer some costs along the way until after operations.
Okay. I know everybody's going through that right now, and so we want to really applaud Mercy for this site and for the other sites, and we're really proud that you joined us again this year for the tour. Thank you. I'm trying to see if there's any other comments. We started right on time, so people might just be kind of coming into it and just watching and listening. But I just want to just thank you and Mercy for really the impact that you all make in our region around affordable housing. Okay, looks like there's a question. We have time for probably one, maybe two. How affordable are the dwellings made with traditional ecological knowledge? I'm not sure what the ecological knowledge means.
Yeah, I can take a stab at answering what I think maybe this question is asking. So we, use high efficiency and eco-friendly materials throughout the construction. We're using sustainable energy sources like solar, voltaic panels to produce energy that goes back to offset the residents' utility bills. We're using solar thermal that helps reduce our costs with water heating that then offsets that. And this building in particular is certified as Green Point Rating Gold, which is an independent energy certification process that we commit to those standards to help offset sort of the carbon impact of housing.
And so is the certification once the building is on the front end, or does it kind of come on the back end after you're done?
It's both. So we design it and build it with the criteria in mind to meet those standards, and then they come in post-construction, certify that we've done everything that we said we were going to do, and then they issue the certificate.
Okay, great. Thank you for that question, Muriel. So Jen, I know you have to go. You have a busy day. You guys have a lot of projects in the pipeline. So again, thank you. And we want to have more of these conversations with our builders to really talk to and educate our community. So we hope you come back to really talk about, what it takes for these projects to happen and how we can work with you as an organization and how our community can help to ensure that we are really making impact with our housing crisis, our homelessness crisis. And if there's anything else you want to add about this project, feel free to wrap us up and we'll be ready for the next tour for Mercy.
No, I'll just say overall it was an incredible experience working with so many partners in West Sacramento. The city has been incredible. Yolo County Mental Health Services, Yolo County Housing. It really was such a huge and incredible team of completely dedicated folks, and it's been a really great experience to see that come to fruition and have folks living there now. So
great. Well, thank you again for all that you do and for touring with us this morning. And if there's any other questions we can maybe share and get answered for folks in the future, we'll be happy to do it. Thank you again, Jen, and we look forward to going to our next site. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
So now we're going to go up the hill to Placer County and experience another Mercy site, Mercy North Auburn. What's important to know is that SHA serves the greater Sacramento region, which includes Yolo, Placer, and parts of San Joaquin counties. We are pretty much part of the SACOG region. We are not pretty much part of the SACOG region. And so our impact is pretty wide. After we tour North Auburn at Rock Creek, we'll learn more about this project from Stephen Dawes, Associate Director at Mercy, who's also as knowledgeable and as dedicated to affordable housing as Jen. And so now we're ready to take our tour. So we just toured the site in Placer County, and one of the things I want to go back to from our last tour is in 2021, when we did our first virtual tour, because of the pandemic, we were still not really able to engage the way we wanted to with having real human beings talk about their experience and what these sites mean, what this housing means to the community. So I hope that from the last tour, the impact that it has made on the residents, and what the site managers, the property management staff that are there, and how they see how transformational this is to people who maybe have been homeless, whether it be out on the streets or couch surfing, or just in places, living in places in family and friends space homes that are just not meant for folks to live for long periods of time. So without further ado, I want to invite Stephen to join us and give us some insight about this project, and kind of talk about what it takes to make this happen, especially in one of our surrounding county neighbors. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi, Kendra. Thank you for having us and highlighting our two newest properties in the Sacramento region. Project manager for North Auburn couldn't be here today, unfortunately. Jeff Riley and I have been working on this since about 2017 together with the county, after they selected us through a competitive RFP process for a site that the county owned at their government center in North Auburn, just off of Highway 49, just south of Bell Road. Very near. If you're a hiker, it's you pass it on your way to the Hidden Falls Regional Park. Amazing experience. If you haven't been out there, you could stop by our site. It's the whole campus is a 200-acre master planned redevelopment of an old military hospital built in the 40s and 50s, called the DeWitt Center, I think. Sorry, there's a longer name, and a lot of history at the site. But the county has been very slowly moving many of its government functions there over the past 20 years, but decided a few years ago to take another effort to master plan much of the remaining open space and many of the underutilized areas, many of which still had some what were probably back in the 1950s intended to be very temporary buildings. And so as part of that planning effort, the county also committed to replace an affordable housing development that was actually torn down in the 1990s. And more than replace it, but add to their desperately needed affordable housing stock to serve the North Auburn community. And so, in addition to a number of other essential county services already located at the site, such as Health and Human Services, there are a number of other walkable amenities at this site that really made this site super attractive for us, and really to think as broadly as possible about what would be the best use of this 3-acre piece on the eastern edge of the property, which is the closest to both the Health and Human Services as well as all of the neighborhood shopping services that were just down the hill between the site and Highway 49. There's Rock Creek Elementary School that is just across Bell Road, and then Faith Memorial Sutter Hospital, which is also just across Bell Road. So really attractive, walkable community. And so in working with the county, we came up with a proposal for 79 affordable apartment units. It's a little bit of an odd shaped site. It's sort of a strip of land just about 100 feet wide, and had quite a bit of slope to it. So trying to figure out what the best combination of target population, family household size, and parking needs was particularly challenging on this site. But the county also had a number of other goals with the site that were really important, and that is they really wanted to catalyze the rest of the master plan vision of the site, which was really to densify and urbanize this micro community, and so we worked with them to come up with a new design for the first street that we have about 900 feet of frontage on, and to create a presence of our residential buildings that faced the sidewalk and this relatively narrow street, and would be very engaged with the plan for future development directly across the street. And so in trying to combine all of those goals, we thought it was really important that we have a number of larger units that serve larger households. And so this is what we call a family development, in that it has 25% or more 3-bedroom units. And we ended up with, it's roughly 25% 3 bedrooms, 50% 2 bedrooms, and 25% 1 bedrooms, roughly. And so sorry, I didn't mention one of the primary goals that the county set out was to take advantage of what at the time was the state's recapitalization of the Mental Health Services Act into the No Place Like Home program to build more housing. Mm-hmm. And the county was very committed to taking advantage of that funding opportunity to create housing that would be co-located with the case management services that the county provides right there on the campus. And so so we worked with them to come up with a plan to include 20 of the 79 units that would be set aside for referrals from their Mental Health Services Act and No Place Like Home eligible clients. And so we were very fortunate to get an early commitment of the No Place Like Home program, and then leverage that into further dollars, and then eventually a 9% low-income housing tax credit award in late 2019, and then had the just like 1801 West Capitol actually had to figure out how to accept an award and assemble the rest of the financing and close during the initial months of the pandemic. And so that was quite an adventure for both projects, but thankfully, with a little extra latitude from the state and many of our other lending partners, and especially from Wells Fargo on North Auburn, who was both our construction lender and our purchaser of the low-income housing tax credits, we were able to find our way to close and start construction in July 2020, and finished up had first residents move in December of last year, in just one of the buildings. The other 5 buildings took quite a bit more time. One of the bigger challenges we had on this site was with PG&E, who had some major infrastructure work to do at the site. And sorry, UPS.
They know when you're on Zoom.
Yes. And so, this is with basically year-round fire season. PG&E is extraordinarily challenged when it comes to new construction projects like this that unfortunately and understandably are just not their priority when fires are raging all around. And so we had some pretty significant delays associated with the gas and electrical service, but eventually got all that taken care of, and people started moving in the rest of the buildings in February, March, and April, and then we finally reached 100% occupancy in about mid-May.
Oh wow! So just recently.
Just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice.
It was right around when we had that amazing dedication event. That was the one you were referring to, I think. We are having one for 1801 West Capitol in July.
Oh, okay.
But we had an incredible in-person and Facebook Live event a couple of weeks ago. People can probably find that on Facebook and on the county's website. But this was definitely a passion project for the county in a way that we often experience in jurisdictions that we have done a lot of work with, but in Placer County, and in particular being at the government center, and with homelessness being so front and center in Placer County, people may be familiar with the encampment that has evolved on some of the vacant land near all of the government buildings and in our site. And I could say that the county has, with this project, intended to and helped us be incredibly successful at responding to their housing and homelessness crisis in a way that we all should be proud of. A jurisdiction that hasn't always had the resources, in fact, has never really had the resources, but has always relied on competing for funds at the state and with development partners to leverage additional funding, and they really went above and beyond on this project, and I know they're looking to replicate it as much as they can.
Yeah. That's one of my questions too. That's great. This oversight and the depth of this project is really helpful, because is this your, like I asked Jen at the last one, is this one of the first in Placer or in this area for Mercy?
So it is not in the area. It is our first project in the unincorporated county.
I see. It's unincorporated. Okay.
But we have a senior development we did a few years ago in the city of Auburn, and then another project in family development in downtown Roseville, completed a few years ago, that I think we've toured. And we're working on another one in the city of Roseville.
Okay. Did you meet any resistance for this project?
No, I can say that we didn't. Now, just like West Capitol in West Sacramento, when you have this kind of support from your local jurisdiction partner, the city then the county in this case. It's really so refreshing. Those of us that have been doing this a long time don't have to go back too far to remember when our first fights or debates were with the jurisdiction itself, and
Oh, okay.
and asking a jurisdiction to actually consider themselves a partner and in convincing a community of what their misgivings and myths and misunderstandings about a development like this might be is was rare. But now it is just so common and so refreshing to have city staff, a senior leadership, and so many electives willing to step up and be on the front end of advocating for developments like this. And so in both these jurisdictions, I think we know that many electeds were out there, talking to people who had misgivings and misunderstandings, and we're taking that leadership on all on their own, and buffering us from any resistance, and so it's really a refreshing and welcoming environment to be able to do this work in.
That's outstanding. And so your start date or your beginning date, if you will, was 2017, and now it's 2022. And to be able to actually get it done in with almost 2 strong years of a pandemic is really commendable, considering oftentimes things just get put on the back burner for all intensive purposes. And then it sounded like just from the design standpoint, from the infrastructure with PG&E and the slope, which in California, I imagine you have to have all those engineers and so on and so forth to come in structural. It's a lot. It's a lot to make something happen. And it also seems like this is just a place where people can eat, work and live, and really have an affordable rent. What's the and for this particular one also, I asked Westsec, do you have to be a member? I mean, you have to be a resident of Placer?
Well, no. I mean, no development is allowed to restrict by geography. We do pursue geographic preferences whenever possible, but those are pretty light. And so, but we do track, where people are coming from, and do some targeted marketing. And so we have seen that the overwhelming majority of actually nearly 99% of folks originated from within Placer County.
That's great.
For the initial move-ins. So.
And what is the income level for this?
So this has units at the extremely low income level, and basically down to zero income. Many of the county behavioral health referrals were folks that are eligible for disability benefits but hadn't been enrolled yet.
Wow.
We're fortunate enough that the County Housing Authority allocated 20 project-based vouchers for those units that really facilitated that. And then we have units all the way up to 60% of the area median income.
Okay, that's great. I'll just check. I'm asking our tech team if there's any questions really quick, Lee, before we go to the next one. I mean, this is transformational in so many ways. I'm sure you're very proud of all the work. I mean, all the projects, but this one it seems real special to that area. The question from Muriel is, what does 100% affordable mean in dollars?
Well, That could mean different things to different people. So I appreciate the question, but I'm going to assume you want specifics. So let me pull up some numbers here. Generally speaking, what some people might assume that means is that rents are targeted to be at 30% of certain income levels, but no more than low income by the data we have, and low income is 80% of median income. But most affordable housing like this is actually restricted at 60% of median income or lower. And I'm gonna, so as our highest rent, I'm gonna try and pull those up here if I can real quickly.
And I mean, I think, what the question and what our, what the community and the public, tries to understand of what does affordable mean, I guess, relative to what's not what the market is. And they're definitely different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so so as I mentioned, there's several different benchmarks that could be considered, legitimate measures of affordability. Our highest rent unit, a 3-bedroom at 60% AMI, is rents have I should say incomes have increased, but $1,214 was the initial net rent after utilities are taken out. That's probably gone up a little bit. For a 2-bedroom, it's $1,059, and then for 1-bedroom, it's $892. And so again, the most common measure for affordability for us insiders is that's targeted to be 30% of the maximum income. It's not necessarily 30% of the household that ends up moving in,
right?
But that maximum income for those units is 60% of the median income. Again, sort of the median income for the entire county, and then 60% of that. So that's quite deep in terms of affordability, and it's based on real data for the county population.
Sure.
But those numbers are real rents. Those are, $1,200 is $1,200, and still has to be afforded by real families that you're trying to serve. And so we try and create a variety of targeted income levels at our properties.
Mm-hmm.
And try and set 60% as the highest and have as few of those as possible. But the property has to be financially feasible as well.
Sure.
So balancing that is the trick that we all face in trying to put these developments together. Another benchmark you'll often see is that rents have to be a certain percentage below what a market study shows. And so a market study of actual market rate comparable apartments. And so we'll often make sure that our rents are at least 15, sometimes 20% below, which is usually these days never a problem. It will often see our highest rents at 50% of those market rates or more.
That's substantial. That's substantial.
Yeah.
especially for people who are still already trying to make any rents working 2 and 3 jobs, or if they aren't capable, then their minimum income is really, whether it be Social Security or disability or whichever, it's critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that wasn't always the case in the Sacramento region. We often had, we're fighting a reputation in competing statewide for affordable housing funding, that gap between the highest affordability rents and market rents was not big enough to justify our affordable housing dollars on a statewide competition basis. And that is what has held our region back for years and years, is that perception that that is the only basis for need, and we all know that is not. That there's a lot more to it than that. But that was the most common and still is the most common measure for the state to use in terms of how it distributes its affordable housing funding. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Today, and over the last 5 years, we have all seen our region's rents just skyrocket, really unbelievably high. And so, while we're still, lagging behind many of the coastal markets, it's really incredible to see, even our highest affordability levels be less than half of market rate.
Right. I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is, with our developer partners, that's an issue. And, we try to advocate at the state level to get, so the state as well as others understand that we are in a very unique geographical situation in the region. We're very different than, like you said, coastal, the urban areas, LA, San Francisco, Bay Area in general, and still very different from the center. The valley, the real Central Valley. We're more north, and then the Inland Empire. So Sacramento really has to be loud about what we need and how we get it. So we are not behind because of this crisis. Thank you, Stephen, so much for that depth of this project. I hope it really gave folks who are watching this now and hopefully watching it in the future really the information needed. We will definitely try to be live on the sites when they have grand openings, meet and greet the people that are living there to see how their lives have changed, and just highlighting how important this work is. And so if you can, how many projects do you guys have on deck for 2023?
Oh gosh, I could not count. On a statewide basis, we are.
Well, just here and not regions.
Yeah, in Sacramento, we have underway the Capitol Park Hotel permanent supportive housing project in downtown Sacramento. So that unfortunately continues to suffer delays, but we still hope to finish before the end of the year. But if we don't, it will be very early in the year, and then fully occupied certainly in the first quarter. So that's our biggest thing underway right now. And then we're pursuing funding on a number of other sites, one in El Dorado County and another one in Roseville, as I mentioned. And then knock on wood, what will be starting construction in the next couple of weeks is 4995 Stockton Boulevard in the city of Sacramento. And so that's 200 units of affordable housing.
It's huge.
That is really, really struggling with construction costs right now, the inflation and material shortage that you talked to Jen about is just creating for many projects just unbearable pressure to try and close that gap. And so There are a lot of projects across the state right now that are struggling to meet their deadlines to close on financing that was awarded over the last 6 months. And with a little more luck on Stockton Boulevard, we're gonna be there in the next couple of days, and again breaking ground in mid-month.
Well, good. Well, thank you for that, and good luck. We know you guys will pull through. Any support we can give, we're here. Thank you for taking time. I know you guys are very busy, so I don't want to keep you much longer. Thank you for being our tour guide and all the work that you do to make this tour happen as a committee member for the last few years, and all the work that you all do in affordable housing spaces. Those of you watching can see, this is real work that's changing real lives in real time. So thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your time and for touring us again this year.
Thank you, Kendra, and for all your support. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move to our final tour of the day. Very different places you've experienced, very different communities, very different results. We're going to show you a sneak peek of an exciting first of its kind development by Mutual Housing, one of our other partners. And just to go back, Mutual Housing, we started the month of Affordable Housing Month on Big Day of Giving, May 5th, at Adelante, which was at Davis. And so Mutual, who has another site that we want to highlight and give you a sneak peek, it's called Lavender Courtyard, and it's a 53 apartments. It's 53 apartments of affordable housing community located in the Lavender Heights neighborhood of Midtown. Lavender Courtyard provides 1 to 2 bedroom apartments for residents age 62 and older. It designates 24 of the units for seniors coming from homelessness. That's incredible. Meanwhile, Mutual is taking inclusion to another level as the only affordable housing developer in the entire Central Valley, creating LGBTQ affirming culture as the heart of its multi-family rental communities. It's a game changer. As we begin to celebrate Pride Month, it should be noted that the vision of this community is coming to fruition and has been nurtured and supported by the Sacramento LGBTQ elder community for years. And SHA, Sacramento Housing Alliance, is an excited partner with Mutual in planning this tour. We plan to be live at the grand opening that will be in early July. And so without further ado, we'd like to give you a sneak peek of Lavender Courtyard. So that was Lavender Courtyard, and we're really excited about the grand opening and really the impact that it's going to make on our LGBT community, especially the senior community and the greater Sacramento community. This is the work that we should be doing, and we should be having projects like these and many others shovel ready to go, so we can make sure people live in a healthy, happy neighborhood and community, and we are really alleviating more and more of the issues around homelessness. So That ends our tour for the day. Thank you to Mutual Housing and Mercy Housing for being a leader in our region, and all of our other developers and in our state to ensure that there's more safe, stable, and affordable housing for our community. Thank you to KJ Productions again, whose professionalism and creativity makes this happen. Thank you to our sponsors and those who support to make this tour happen. I want a special thank you and shout out to the SHA team. There's more of us behind the cameras that makes this happen. I'm really grateful for their dedication, for their professionalism that brings this to you all, and to our board of directors who are just dedicated individuals, each and every last one of them, who help to push our mission to new heights. Since 1989, we've been advocating for more housing sites like the ones you were on tour today throughout our region. We cannot do this work without the generosity of others. Please consider, after you've taken this tour or after you learn more about our work, becoming a member, a volunteer, a supporter, an activist of SHA by making a donation of any level. Anything you can give toward our work benefits the community and creates more affordable housing. So thank you again for joining us today. Thank you for your support. We will keep these sites and others really in the community's eye so we can continue to educate and do outreach, and we can get more of these sites shovel ready to go. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.